In truth, Renate Müller was not, in the classical sense of the word, a real lover. However, the fact that she had direct contacts with both Hitler's entourage and the Führer himself is an undeniable reality, as is the fact that it was this intimacy that led Renate to a rather quick and tragic downfall. This is X-War History Channel, and now we are gonna tell you about Adolf Hitler's secret so-called lover. Since she was a child, the girl was distinguished by her classic Aryan appearance and quite good acting skills. So it is not surprising that after dropping out of school, Renate Müller enrolled in acting classes. After graduation, Müller worked in the theater for a while, and then she was later spotted. She was soon shining on the covers of magazines and then shown on the movie screens. And any picture of Müller in the leading role chucked up success literally by default. At the peak of her career, she starred in an average of 5 films annually. By the way, Renate was famous not only in Germany, but also throughout Europe. Moreover, she was able to travel freely enough outside her country. Müller became the dream of almost the entire man population of Germany. And what could not have happened, the picturesque actress was also noticed by the Nazis. And the first to do so was propaganda minister Joseph Goebbels. Initially, Goebbels began to support Müller in all kinds of ways, promoting her in studios, advertising and praising her. Naturally, after a while, the Minister of Propaganda demanded payment for his services. While pursuing a rather trivial goal, to get the famous beauty into bed, Goebbels also solved the issues of popularizing the Nazi ideology by offering Müller to star in films with the fascist bias. However, the frantic beauty refused Goebbels both for bad-time pleasures and for filming in ideological movies. It is not known which of the two refusals made Goebbels angrier, but he managed to bring down the actress' career rather quickly. The Minister of Propaganda began to spread rumors that Müller's husband, the famous boxer Max Schmeling, was a Jew. Despite the fact that this information was fake, Schmeling had to flee the country quickly enough to avoid falling under the punishing sword of the Gestapo. Alternatively, Renate Müller had a love affair with the banker Georg Deutsch. Renate met him during one of her visits to England, and given the possibility of barrier-free travel, she often enough flew exactly to England. And everything would have been fine, but Georg Deutsch was a pure-blooded Jew by nationality. This was the starting point. It was this connection that Goebbels found out about. And at the time of the Nazi dominance of propaganda and the strongest anti-Semitism in Germany, all the doors to Müller began to close abruptly. What's more is that thanks to Goebbels' intervention, Müller was under round-the-clock monitoring. Not only she was watched, but also her close acquaintances and friends were spied on. No person could withstand this for long. In the end, the girl was forced to accept Goebbels' condition and take a part in the Nazi movie Tage. Even before the shooting of the movie itself, Goebbels managed to bring her to a reception, where Hitler himself was present. Showing her signs of attention, Goebbels hoped that in the end the inaccessible actress would finally crack. However, Renate not only publicly made fun of Goebbels, but basically brought him to tears. She may have been saved from the vengeance of the omnipotent minister by the presence of Adolf Hitler himself, who could not fail to notice a spectacular young girl of pure Aryan appearance. This is how Goebbels' advances smoothly turned into those of the Führer himself. Renate told Adolf Zeisler this about one of her encounters with the Führer. He sat right there, not moving at all, looking at me the whole time, and then he took my hand in his own and looked at me for a little while longer. He kept saying just plain nonsense. By the way, as it turned out later, even an introduction to the Führer could not save the further career of an actress. Later versions vary from the most down-to-earth to the virtually unbelievable. According to some, Renate, after a personal acquaintance with Hitler, very quickly found herself in bed with him. According to other versions, there was no love affair between them in the classical sense. And this is due to the apparent mental illness of the Führer himself, who, according to many famous psychiatrists, was completely devoid of the understanding of usual relationship between a man and a woman. Ronald Hyman, in his book Hitler and Gelli, described the relationship between Hitler and Müller after they had met. After that, he went out with her, and among the jewelry he gave her was a diamond bracelet, more precious than any of his gifts to Gelli and Eva Braun. But the demands he made were as displeasing to her as they were to Gelli. For one evening at the consulary, for an instance, he began by going into detail about the Gestapo's torture methods, comparing them to medieval practices. After they had both undressed, he lay down on the floor, begging her to hit him and kick him. Later, Renate told her friend that she did have to kick Hitler, after which he calmed down. The lovers drank wine and then the girl was escorted home. There is even a version that Hitler was engaged to Renate, but no evidence of this has been found. Such a fairly perverted relation strongly weighed on the girl. She began to abuse alcohol. Over time, Müller gradually became addicted to drugs, and as already mentioned, acquaintance with the Führer did not help her career either. Her talent was rapidly sinking. Falling into depression, she more and more often found oblivion in a drug craze. Several times she tried to get an appointment with Hitler, but to no avail. Soon, by decision of the authorities, the woman was sent to a sanatorium for treatment, where her life ended. Kate Haste, in her book Nazi Women, incidentally mentions her attempt to gain an audience with Hitler. When her career collapsed, she became addicted to morphine and was sent to a sanatorium. After asking for permission to meet Hitler in 1937, but being refused, she returned back to the sanatorium. What took place later in the sanatorium is not known for certain. There is only one undeniable fact. On October 1st, 1937, Renate Müller died when she fell out of a window. There are several reasons for her death. The first one is that she was informed about the Führer's will, and the woman just understood that she had no choice. That is, she committed suicide by order of Hitler. The second version, on that day the Gestapo agents arrived to the sanatorium, and they threw her out of the window. True, this version is based only on the testimony of some eyewitnesses, who saw several men in leather cloaks enter the hotel where Renate lived. That is, it is far from certain that they went to her, nor it is clear that they were Gestapo agents at all. There is though a third version, trivial carelessness. Once again, after getting drunk or drugged, Renate Müller, sitting on a windowsill, lost her balance, couldn't hold on anymore, and eventually collapsed downward. And her best friend, actress Sibylle Schutz, also talked about it. It was an accident. Renate, who didn't drink, was drunk and intoxicated. So, it is true that assertions that Müller was not a drinker at the time look rather strange, considering that Renate was sent to the sanatorium to be treated for her addiction. In any case, the tragedy could not have happened, even indirectly, without the intervention of the Reich's top officials. After all, even being in the same bed with Hitler, Renate herself did nothing but cause severe psychological shock and depression. Indirectly, Hitler's own guilt in death is indicated by two facts. As a general rule, all his mistresses lost their lives rather quickly and under strange circumstances. And if you look at the case of Renate, she still got off easy in this case. Some of the Führer's companions were found shot and previously raped. Some shot themselves or took poison. After Renate Müller's funeral, rather unsightly rumors about her began to spread around Berlin. But such a thing could only have happened by Goebbels' personal order. You were watching Explore History. Subscribe, leave a like, and expect more videos from this channel.